Well, it gave everybody a wonderful new label. It's Diana's Unstable. Well, there were three of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
It has been reported that a private letter written by Princess Diana to Prince William has been discovered, revealing heartfelt sentiments that she had never intended for the world to perceive. It is full of love, caution, and wishes that have the potential to alter our perception of the monarch who will come after us. To what did she respond? Keep coming back and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content. At first, it did not produce any news stories. It was just a quiet item that was slipped into a London auction catalog back in July of 2004, and there was no royal news release or media hoopla to accompany it whatsoever. Nevertheless, a personal letter written by Princess Diana was included in that compilation, and it was almost completely overlooked. Within the letter, she made a mention to her oldest son, Prince William. Furthermore, after they began reading, they became aware that this was not a typical note. I felt a lot of emotion. It was unclean. It was laced with the affection of a mother's heart. Her handwriting was definitely written in a manner that was sophisticated, flowing, and intensely personal. This was not an official message that was prepared by aides working in the palace. It was not written for the cameras, nor was it made for the perception of the people. The recipient was someone she had a profound affection for, and this is what set it apart from other things. For many years, many have speculated about what Diana might have confided in William behind his back. At least in part, we are now able to catch a peek of it. One of the things that makes this letter even more remarkable is the fact that it was not discovered in a royal archive. An individual who is close to her, Violet Collison, who has worked as a housekeeper for a long time and is a trusted friend of the Spencer family, has brought it to light. What exactly was it that Diana wanted William to keep in mind? What was it about these words that made them feel more significant than they ever had before? Beginning with the moment she became a mother, Diana began to behave in a new manner. Within the realm of royalty, which was characterized by regularity, formal nannies, and restricted affection, she deviated from the common practice. However, she was not content to merely show up for picture ops or to allow others to take care of the nurture. For her sons, she desired to be there, to be present in the moment. She did not simply relax in the palace and do nothing. She escorted Prince William and Prince Harry to locations that the majority of royals would never visit. Restaurants serving fast food, amusement parks, and even the London Underground are all examples. There were instances when she would disguise herself in order to blend in. These excursions were not done at random. Diana wished for her sons to have the opportunity to travel outside of the royal palace. It was important to her that they had a good understanding of people, feelings, and the world that they would one day serve. Because I am the mother of two young boys, I believe that it is possible that we will need to discover a safe approach to assist our children. Consider the scenario in which a princess disguised as a man is seen strolling hand in hand with her sons across a public street in order to make them feel more normal. Exactly like that Diana was. The privilege that they were born into was not lost on her. On the other hand, she was aware that titles do not have any influence on personality, that is molded by one's experiences. This was her subdued act of defiance. She made the decision to bring up her sons not as future monarchs, but rather as young men who are grounded, kind, and have perspective. An audacious move that continues to have an impact on them even today. Diana's letters caught her heart, while images and interviews documented her beauty and interviewees captured her courage. There were a few notes that were discovered during the auction, but one in particular jumped out, for the simple reason that she did not sign it alone. Additionally, it had a few scribbles from both William and Harry. The letter was a letter of gratitude that was written to Sergeant George Plum in the year 1989. A display of motorcycles was something that Diana had planned. In addition, she mentioned in her letter how the event provided a great deal of happiness to the mothers and children who were present. Her expressions were replete with feelings of thankfulness, warmth, and pride. In spite of the fact that the letter may appear to be straightforward at first glance, what it actually demonstrated was how much she cared about making happy experiences for her sons. The actions that were taken were not grand or flashy. She recognized that these moments would be significant because they were deliberate and personal. The letter took on a sense of affection that was shared by both her and William and Harry when they saw their small handwriting next to hers. a family moment that was captured. In Diana's eyes, those were the most valuable possessions, not titles or crowns, but the moments of peace and unguardedness that she shared with her sons. We do not see the public princess through her words, rather we see the private mother. Moreover, those statements continue to reverberate for a considerable amount of time after they were published. The emotional struggle that Diana was going through was hidden under the smiles and looks. She frequently experienced feelings of isolation and being overwhelmed. Certainly not only by the media but also by the expectations that were associated with her role. And despite it all, her sons were always the thing that she was most concerned about. Once upon a time, she revealed that she was concerned about her own safety and suspected that others were conspiring against her. These anxieties, regardless of whether or not they were legitimate, indicate the enormous amount of strain that she was under. Considering the circumstances, it is not surprising that she exerted such a great deal of effort to shield William and Harry from the public eye. She organized with the personnel at the palace to arrange controlled photo moments, such as dropping off children at school and going on vacation with the family. On the other hand, she requested that ordinary life be conducted in a private manner. It required a delicate equilibrium. Provide the general public with a glance, yet safeguard the most important aspects. She was not concerned with her appearance, rather she was concerned with her health. Because she was aware of the potential damage that frequent media attention may cause to a child, she did not want her sons to grow up with that type of pressure on their shoulders. The letters that turned up again demonstrate this tension. It is clear from her tone that she is feeling the need to maintain her strength, to be present, and to protect her sons from a world that she will never be able to fully control. The public's perception of the royal family was not the only thing that Diana altered. She also altered the way royal children were brought up. With the birth of William, she broke with convention from the very beginning. She was adamant about breastfeeding him, which was a practice that was uncommon among royal moms such that era. She even chose his name herself, despite the fact that she was strongly opposed to suggestions that she adhere to previous naming practices. She made the decision to enroll William in a nursery school located outside of the palace, selecting a place where he could study, play, and develop in the same manner as any other child. In addition to attending school activities, she engaged in conversation with teachers and penned personal messages to staff members. It was not her intention to be a figure of disinterest. Rather, she desired to be involved. Because of the hardship that her marriage to Prince Charles was experiencing, Diana's attention was increasingly focused on her sons. She made it her mission to ensure that her children would always feel loved and supported, regardless of the circumstances that arose between the adults. One such event, which was revealed by her former butler Paul Burrell, brilliantly encapsulated this idea. Following the divorce, Diana discovered that she had lost her royal style, and she became concerned that she would one day have to bow before her own sons. According to reports, William, who was 14 years old at the time, soothed her by saying, "Don't worry, Mummy, I'll give it back to you next time." In that time, the mother and son shared a moment of peaceful warmth and mutual respect for one another. Diana didn't teach her sons about kindness by delivering speeches. Rather, she lived her life. Her actions were the actual teachings, whether it was her visits to charitable organizations or her late-night phone calls to staff members about assisting someone who was in need. One of the most effective actions she took was to take William to Centrepoint, a non-profit that provides assistance to homeless children and teenagers in London. Rather than doing it for the sake of notoriety, she wanted William to meet people who were going through difficult times, to see the humanity that they possessed, and to realize that leadership is about serving other people. Over the course of many years, William would talk about that trip, describing it as a defining moment in his life. This was not a one-time act. Rather, it was a part of Diana's commitment to assist her sons in gaining a better understanding of the world that extends beyond palaces and ceremonies. With William's increasing age, the impact of such influence became more apparent. He did not rush into taking on royal responsibilities. Rather, he went cautiously, frequently selecting projects that gave more weight to empathy than to tradition. There was a consistent pattern, whether it was with the promotion of awareness of mental health or the beginning of initiatives to address homelessness. William was emulating the behavior that Diana had demonstrated, and although he does not frequently discuss Diana in detail, his art speaks volumes about both of them. Not only did her words leave an indelible mark, but so did the manner in which she carried herself. People started to take notice of something as William continued to become more prominent in public life. Many others were able to see that his approach was distinct, more grounded and more intelligent, and they attributed this to Diana. As part of the Heads Together initiative, which was launched in 2016, he collaborated with Catherine and Harry to bring attention to the issue of mental health. William made a courageous move by publicly discussing the significance of discussing feelings, which is an unusual occurrence for someone in his position. It was a reflection of what Diana had always desired for him, which was emotional fortitude and transparency. Then came Homewards, a project that William began to combat homelessness in the United Kingdom that would last for 5 years. At the same time that it was a courageous move, it was also a profoundly personal one. A direct connection was made between it and Diana's days spent going to shelters and shaking hands with people who were overlooked by others. The decisions that Diana made were not just made to fill a royal calendar, rather they were reflections of the principles that she had fought so hard to pass on to her children. She had stated in the past that she did not want her sons to grow up in a bubble, and that she wanted them to feel, care, and act when they entered adulthood. It is not by hoopla but through purpose that her goal is still being realized today, thanks to the calm leadership of William. When it comes to the foundation of that vision, it is possible that it began with a few words written by hand in a private letter. Diana was unable to witness William's journey to becoming a father. She never had the opportunity to see the causes that he would advocate for or the manner in which he would carry himself. However, by reading this letter and the events that accompany it, we are reminded that her presence was never truly gone. Everything that William does, from the thoughtful gestures he makes to the issues he tackles to the peaceful moments he shares with the public, seems to be a mirror of her. Therefore, when we read her words, we are not simply looking back, rather we are making a connection between the past and the present. The origins of William's personality were exposed in this letter, in addition to the fact that it revealed Diana's character. Moreover, there is something that cannot be replaced by any title, crown, or ceremony in the world. If you were moved by this story, you won't want to miss our next film, which will examine how Prince Harry commemorates the legacy of his mother in his own uniquely personal way. For further viewing, please go here.